live.
We are live. Yes, we are.
I
What's
got
going on,
some
Macho?
issues. I got some issues over here in the crib. The Wi-Fi is down, so I'm over here on my phone.
Making it happen. Technical difficulties, but we
It
are
don't
out.
matter. You gotta keep making it rain, bro.
We
Show
said
don't
every day
stop.
at 6. We
Yeah,
never said we're going live only if your computer works.
fact.
Today's a different twist though.
Oh,
We're going all the way left. We're taking a U-turn right now.
facts. I figured, look, let's talk about something that I know a lot of young females, or I think it's a lot of young females. I would say,
Yeah, I would
based
say
on the
older
stuff
too.
older females, but a lot of young females today are having these kinds of issues, and that is BBLs, Brazilian butt lifts, as they call it. Why is this happening? Let's talk about why we're here, Lou. Who are we? What's going
Who
on
are
here?
we? Who are we? Let's get to it. Who are we? Who are we? Good question. We are just two dudes having good conversation. And the name of this, what we're doing, just drinks with a nobody, kind of doing play on words on, look, we know experts, we know pros at these topics, but I think we need a normality in talking about these issues that people are afraid to talk about.
Yo,
Which is
pretty
why
much.
we go from COVID to BBLs. We want to talk about everything connected
Yeah,
to culture and politics.
pretty much. You think it? We want to talk about it, and do yourself a favor while you're here listening to us. Our madness. Grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and be prepared to engage, bro. Lewis, I got a question for you.
Talk to me. I love when you open up like this, man. Make me
Yeah.
think already. Go ahead.
So my question here is, when you were growing up, your evolution or whatever. I know you're a married man now. I'm not trying to put you out there like that, but did you have a standard of attraction for a female, like from when you were younger to like up until when you started dating your wife?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think, well, I don't think, I know the standard was really based on the status quo of what was a bad chick, you know? That status quo of like a certain image. And I think, and I say status quo because I think a lot of men, it's that feeling of like, yo, this is who I'm with. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is who I got. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think it's that
Did your shorty have to look a certain way? Like initially, just off the surface, did she have to look a certain way before you talked to her?
for sure.
So
For
what
sure.
was that like when you were like in high school or whatever like that? Did you have an initial like, this is the kind of girl I want to talk to, and what would that girl look like?
So how would she look like? I was always big on pretty face. You gotta have a pretty face. You know what I'm saying? Like I kept it simple in the beginning. But then the standard started raising because it felt like a competitive kind of, I don't know, competitive world, especially in high school,
Right.
where everybody was like, yo, this is the baddest chick. This is what you should want, you know? And I kind of slowly started feeding into that when it came to big ass, perkiness, and the thing like the whole curveness of everything, you know?
Yeah. So like based off what hip hop, what would it be a fair assessment to say, based off what hip hop culture was putting in our face, that's the kind of shorty that you want?
Based on what hip hop culture put in our face. Yes, because we grew around hip hop. Yeah, I would say that's a big part of it for sure. Because we get the standards from somewhere. So I would say hip hop culture played a big role in like, yo, this is what's normalized. This is the kind of woman we should aspire to have, because this is when you got a, with the quote unquote a bad chick. Yeah. Well, what else influenced do you think? That's good.
Me, like hip hop was for sure the like.
I'm wondering what else, but that's
it was in my face. Hip hop was like, you know, I had to talk to a shorty with like a certain kind of body, certain kind of waist to ass ratio. It was just kind of like that. Like if you didn't have that, I didn't even want to talk to a female like that. Had to be thick, all that stuff. And then I grew up, and then I was just like,
But
Nah.
what changed? What changed?
What changed was like, you need more than just that. Like you could be with somebody for a long time with the kind of body structure that you envision in your head.
Yeah.
But if you can't really connect with them, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, that would only last so long. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was like my initial. And then when I grew up, I got married at very early. And then, after, my whole debacle of my marriage, I literally was just like, I don't want to just subject myself to just this. I need more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like my brain was evolving. I felt like my expectations were evolving. And just having that on the surface was like, I just can't leave it there. So I started like opening myself up to different kinds of women because I was just like, I can't just have, just a fat ass, just to put it straight up like that.
Yeah, gotta be more than a fat ass. Perky chicks, like in your mind, you're like, that won't last because you went through something.
Yeah, they don't make no sense. Like I felt like as a teenager watching those hip hop videos, those rap videos, like seeing like Lil Wayne videos when I was growing up, seeing Ja Rule videos when I was growing up, or like 50 Cent, and all you see is like big fat asses.
Yeah.
You don't see the character behind the shorty. All you see is her body, and you don't know what that comes with. You don't know how to deal with any of that. All you know is how to get a shorty like that by your side, and that's all you care about. Now in my 30s, I'm looking at shorties today in society, and like, why is this whole craze, or why is there this whole rise for young women, especially, to get their bodies augmented? Is it because they're desiring attraction? Do they want attraction? When they talk about being catcalled, they hate it. Or like just any guy just coming up to them, they hate it. So what is this whole craze for body augmentation? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I asked this on Instagram today.
Okay.
Right? And I was trying to get like, Instagram's pretty dope. You get some responses, and it's just, they don't know who's sending it, but I want to share some of these responses. So basically, what I asked today was simple question. What are some reasons women get body surgery? Right? I added tummy tuck in there, BBLs, all those things. So we can get an array of what people...
Even like the plastic surgery, like...
Yeah, plastic surgery, just more cosmetics, right? I was kind of focusing on, right? I'm about to share some right here, right quick. What are some of the reasons women get body surgery? Feel better about themselves. Right? So that's one of them. That's a good one.
Okay.
My cousin did it. Insecurities because a man was cheating a lot. Yes, he still cheats. Another one, insecurity, right? This is just taking you through the role play right quick.
Okay.
Right? They think they can keep a man, all right? I'm just throwing them all out before, and then we'll get into it. Body is like clothes and jewelry. Some make you feel better than others. I asked, does it make that person feel? They don't love themselves, feel insecure, right? Throwing them all out there right quick. Lazy, attract a mate, low self-esteem, don't accept the natural aging process. Social pressure, body image shaming. Baby tummy tucks are common, so much loose skin. I wrote something. I don't see nothing wrong with that in a relationship. That's a little controversial.
I don't see anything wrong with that either, yeah.
Women are incomprehensible. Look at history for proof. So, to secure the bag.
To secure the bag? Wait, like meaning like a shorty wants to get a man with money, or to get money as a profession?
Society media says the unrealistic expectations. I just said a few right quick. I didn't want to get into, but tell me what you think about some of those things you heard, man. I think that's a good way to kick it off.
I see a lot of insecurity. I see a lot of like they don't like the way they feel about themselves or whatever. From what I saw in my brief look around on the internet, just a brief touch, was that shorties are comparing themselves to other shorties out there. So what best way to do that? How can they do that?
Yeah.
By watching stuff on the gram. Like they're looking at the gram They going on their social media in general, and they see a shorty and they see how she looks, and they're like, "Yo, body goals, body goals. I want to look like that."
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, what do you want to look exactly like her? You want to be a carbon copy? Like I don't, I, and
And
then
you know, I think it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure on women, right? Because what happens is the standards are so high because a lot of these bodies are bought, not natural. So no matter how hard you try, this is why girls will go to the gym, do that, and they're like, man, this girl got it in a week. It's almost like a shortcut.
nah, they're
And
faking that. They're faking that.
no,
They're
no, they're
saying,
faking it too, for
yeah,
sure. But
yeah.
there's some who fake it and go. But there's some who I'm actually saying who try, they don't quite reach their goals, and they see their friend get the surgery. So when that happens, what happens? They're like, yo, you know what? Let's just do this, you know?
Well,
But it doesn't last if you don't have the discipline behind it. If you haven't changed your habits, working out, the way you're eating, which is why you can get a tummy tuck, but then if you haven't really changed, your habits won't really reflect that. Your habits, you know what I'm saying? Your habits will take you a step.
yo, I was listening to this article last night, right, by NPR. Check it out, y'all. It's on NPR.com. The Rise of the BBL. And this dude, it's called Code Switch, is like, I guess, his little interview channel. He's basically talking to this woman as to like, why is there a huge rise in the last few years for body augmentation,
Mm-hmm.
and specifically the BBL, like the butt lifts, or like, putting fat transfer and stuff like that. And apparently the reason is because black women, she just went right to it. She went right to it. Black women feel this immense pressure to look a certain way.
You think only black women feel that?
But that was her first prognosis answer. She literally said black women have the pressure to look a certain way, or that there's a
I do believe they
societal
have more pressure
demand.
a certain way, yeah.
Yeah, there's a societal demand that black women ought to look a certain way. So if they don't look that way, then they're not the desired black woman, and that's probably why they're not getting the kind of attention that they desire.
Mm.
And I'm like, wait a second, wait a second. More than just black women are doing this, by the way. And are we saying that black women are the standard of how they're supposed to look? How women in general are supposed to look? I'm
Yeah.
curious as to like what people think about that.
Well, I feel black women have been sexualized in such an immense way through hip hop culture, through even pornography, right? You talk about big butt, you know what I'm saying? Like all these things, they've been sexualized more than others, in many ways, right? So that sexualization becomes part of what makes them feel worthy in the status, right?
Yeah.
What kind of status they got. They got to get there to be that kind of person. And you know, the black culture puts an immense pressure on black women, I believe. Yeah.
But why?
Well, the why behind that, oof, I don't know, because I think about the hip hop culture, which is a big one. And I would put a layer back. I would say it started with what men wanted, right? Men
Yeah,
started
but
pushing.
here's the thing, Luke. Like they're saying that if this woman is right on that NPR interview, right? If she's right saying that the woman is supposed to keep to a certain standard, where did that standard come from? Number one, because if you look at Hollywood, you look at fitness models, all that stuff from when we were growing up, just from when we were growing up,
Mm-hmm.
the Holly Berrys, the Janet Jacksons, the Whitney Houstons. Who else? We can keep going on. Lenny Kravitz's daughter, Jason Momoa's wife, or whatever. Yo, these women are actually very, very thin. They're opposite of what these women are pursuing. So it's like, who says that the black standard or the black woman standard is to be thick or to be like curvaceous or voluptuous? Who said that? And is this a new phenomenon in the last 40 years?
There was a comment here.
Yeah.
Black women have the lowest marriage rates, and so do Asian men in the U.S. You know, just putting that out there is pretty, you know.
Wow. I didn't even know Asian men had low marriage rates.
So That's an interesting one right there. Black women have the lowest marriage rates. Look into the history of
Thanks,
Sarah.
thanks for commenting, Charlene. Appreciate that.
We got an educational course here with some homework to do. Look into the history of Sarah Bartmann. Anybody knows who Sarah Bartmann? Enlighten us. If you want to give us a quick snippet, I'm very curious now. But
thanks for the thanks for the chat.
You asked a good question. What was your question?
The question was, who decided that this was the standard? Even for Black women. If you're saying that Black women feel this immense pressure, who said that Black women need to look like this? Because in American history, when was thick the thing? All throughout American history.
I got two questions. I love it. That's a good way you talk. I got two questions for this. All right. Number one, it's called the Brazilian butt lift. Just putting it out there. There's got to be something behind that. So I'm kind of wondering now, from your question, the history in Brazil, right? And what was the standard that took Brazil by storm, where they coined it, they had all the surgeries, and they're number one in the world. I think US, by cosmetic surgeries beats them, but when it comes to BBL surgery, Brazil, right? And now we have, in another way, in the US, the standard of thickness, body. This is my second question: is what part of that is natural that men want, right? And what part of that was sold to us as the perfect woman, right? Do you see my question there? So I just peeled the layer back in Brazil. You can put that to the side, but my question is, when it comes to the standard of a woman, those beauty standards, who sold us that? And what part of that is just men do really want that, right? What part do men really want a big ass? Do men really want perky? Like, what part of that is natural, but how much of that is not?
Great point right there.
Right? Because part of it is men are, right? We are, what's the word I'm looking for here?
We desire to be attracted to.
We have something natural about us, right? But doesn't mean that's all natural. Doesn't mean that big butt should be the standard. I'm just curious how much of that, right, was actually like, all right, it was natural, developed, and we're like, oh, we you know what I'm saying? Like, was there a time that men didn't care about big butts?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
If you look at, like, from the early 1900s to the mid 1900s, how in the world did we go from a woman in a dress where you can barely see her curves to a woman who's in pants and a t-shirt where you can now see her curves? So it's like, who decided what the standard was as they emerged out of being in dresses?
We got some history here. So
let's check it out.
Let's bring it back really quick. Sarah Bartmann, here we go.
All right.
Damn. She was a circus act for so long for white people because her butt was so big. Wow, it's interesting.
So this was a white woman thing?
This was a white woman? Yeah, I'm curious. Was this a white woman and circus act? This is interesting. Right here. Her body parts were so amazing to these people that Europe didn't give back her body till not too long ago after she died. What? Because they wanted to preserve it. Yo, who knows about this history? Because I don't. This is crazy. I've never heard of this.
So this was like in the last 40 years, 50 years, or was this like?
Yeah, like when this thing, Sarah was black.
She was black.
Used her, so they used her. If women have big hips, bigger boobs, biologically is attractive to men because of childbearing.
Yes, ooh, she's absolutely correct.
That's a good point right there.
Because men want to go towards a woman that will give them children. So this all goes to the point where I want to, in the future, talk about what's the point of sex.
Yeah.
What's the point of sex? And the point for men, all we think about is, right now, maybe the young man today, is the enjoyment of what sex can bring him. Yeah, but ultimately, sex is to give you what? The outcome is a child.
Yeah, procreate.
It's to procreate. That is the outcome.
There's a pleasure in there for a reason, though.
The pleasure is that the procreation is not undesirable. If it was undesirable, Lou, we would not be making children.
So you're saying the pleasure is for God is incentivizing us, right? Let me use God in my example. God is incentivizing us through the pleasures of sex to procreate.
Yes, so it's easy to do it.
Yeah. So it's not like, damn, man, you gotta
It's
have
not
a
like
child.
it's not like all the human race
Right.
is at fate.
Damn,
Oh
man,
damn, I gotta make another child. No, it's
yeah, man,
desirable.
come here. Let's do this thing in the bed, man. We gotta have a child, man. I don't got time for this.
Like for example, to have that feeling to look on upon a woman and want to have sex with her is literally the instinctual thing that's in us is having sex with her, even though we may not think about it, having sex with her, knowing it would yield us that outcome. I don't know if people out there agree with me, but that's where I'm going with this. So, are women losing today? Is my point. Women are losing today because despite the fact that they're getting these body augmentations, they're still feeling insecure. So they'll get their big. I watched a video on YouTube last night. I wish I can pull it up, but once again, my Wi-Fi is down, so I have to shoot from my phone. But this girl on YouTube, like she said, Kelly the hairstylist on Instagram, and she's over there talking about how she regrets getting her BBL because when she got it, all people saw her as her ass. So when people saw her, because it was ginormous, they would be like, yo, they'd be willing to pay her to take a picture with her because of how outrageous her ass was. So they would be like, can I get a picture with you? They wouldn't get a picture with her. They would turn her around and just simply just get a picture of her ass. So she became an ass to people rather than a person. So she became subjected by her body parts, not about herself. Is BBL a race issue? And why?
Is BBL a race issue?
Are Black women really subjected to having to look this way? Or are they subjecting themselves to having to look that way?
Well, I would say it's Black and Hispanic women as well. A lot of, because these surgeries are off the charts in countries I didn't expect, right? So, like, these surgeries, I think in context, if we talk about America, I think the expectation of the Black woman being sexualized is a problem that took America by storm with the expectations, broken homes, where, low marriage rates, because everything is sexualized. And like you said, if it's about sex, it would only get you so far, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like you can argue that it's an issue if we're talking about maybe specifically America, right? Or in their community, probably higher rates, right, in the Black community than possibly other races. I'm thinking, but it's hard to tell. But I think other countries have a big problem because the world is more sexualized.
And because of what? We had the sexual revolution, which was tied to what? Feminism.
Yeah. So
feminism. I mean, I want to get into that too as a future topic. Did feminism help the woman?
Now, hold up. That's good right now, actually. At least there's so much to this.
Okay.
I think it connects. I think it connects.
So Lou's not scared. He's like, yo, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think it connects right here somewhat, right? Even though we can do many episodes about this, but we have different waves of feminism. Is there a part of feminism that gave women a freedom that was actually not beneficial for them when it comes to the ultimate goal that a lot of women will tell you would be family, right? Kids. A lot of women will tell you that. So that's the question. And BBL became popular in those kind of cultures where we are emphasizing the single life, the party life, magazines, selfie age, right? But I wonder if that played a role, right? The feminism movement, if it played a role in increased surgeries to keep up with the expectation, because with more freedom came what? You see more women out there, right? Doing their bodies, doing all that. So now you got to keep up with that as well.
And look, don't get me wrong. Women were oppressed because of men who were either misinterpreting certain things, or maybe they tied this to the Bible, because the restriction of women's rights and freedoms was the misinterpretation of the value system of how important women are. And because of that, that gave this spiral effect.
I got a crazy question.
Yeah.
I got a crazy question. Did the freedom of did more freedom of women, right? Now we see more women in the workplace. We see just a lot more rights, which is something to celebrate, right? But I also think, I guess I'll frame it as a statement. I also think that that affected the procreation and family building, because with that freedom came what? You got two people hustling, you got two people working, you got standards that both people got. You almost merge the genders together, so you're automatically gonna have a separation in the natural of, let's say, a family, kids. You're gonna have less of that because you have everybody coming. It's like, you know, so I wonder at what cause did that freedom come. I'm not saying they shouldn't have got it, but it's good to talk
because, but the thing is, Lou, the argument is like women are not just baby makers, it's not a factory.
Oh, for sure.
But I agree with you. I'm just saying the other side of the point.
But that, even if you say that, doesn't it doesn't take away from what I'm saying, because I agree with that. But it's just having an honest conversation around, did that affect, right, the aspect of building families and communities? It's just that simple.
Oh, so yeah.
So you see, so it's like, I'm not saying that it was bad or
good. If women are working, where's their attention to the children? Or if women are working, where's their ability to just make children if they're busy working and busy building their careers?
Mm-hmm. Competing with men, and
this is how important women are to society.
Yeah.
In their role, because if they don't make children or are home to take care of the children, you will have what we see today, the education system now misguiding our children, or the responsibility being put on someone else to decide what a child should be, a male, female, right? Gender confusions, sexual proclivities. Someone's deciding for them who or what the standards are, rather than them getting their standards from their mother or from their father.
So
yeah, go ahead.
So we have first wave feminism that I totally agree with, right? It was almost, when you think about civil rights, right? It was equality, right? As far as under the law, right? When it comes to being able to do the same things, voting, right? All these things are useful.
The pursuit for women's rights in the first wave of feminism, I would argue that it wasn't feminism that motivated them. It was just literally not being subjected or under by losing their value, right? It was like they were second class. And just because they played their role doesn't mean they lost their value in society. They should have kept their value like they've always had, equal to the man, and not in the sense of equal in output, but just equal in value. They should have always had that, because I believe everyone was created with that value system, and they should have never lost that. So that first wave, I would argue, wasn't even feminism. And then it perpetuated to this ideology of, now I am more than the man. I'm more important than the man. I need to rule over the man. Right? So we went from.
How did that come about?
Oh,
I would say it's unavoidable, right? It's like when you start with, what you have right now is, you got to realize the freedoms and that competitive nature to compete in the marketplace that women have, right? Big ups to women who want to do that. It affects the same, it becomes your same kind of identity when you're in relationships, because that's how you identify, right? It's like, so that's why I think it's dangerous. Like, I don't know what the solution is, but I do know this. As women were gaining more rights and even equality, which I think is a phenomenal thing, we have to face the reality that families were affected, right? So when men were going to war, and women were staying at home.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Think about that. When men were going to war, women were staying at home, right? Undeniably, more families were being built, and there were more, quote unquote, some men will say, feminine women.
Yeah.
Right? Now we could define that, but hey, people don't like to say these things, but a man wants a certain feminine feature when they're dating a woman. You don't want somebody like you, which is why I believe, right? I'm going a little deeper here. The feminist movement has gotten to the point where now the competition of equality has become pointless because men have no interest in competing with women. And what's
No.
going to happen is if you bring that into a relationship, either you're going to be single for a long time, or two, you're going to get someone and it's not going to last. Because there's something natural about a man when it comes to like authority and really like some type of control. I'm not saying control in an abusive way, but they can't be two heads in a household, right? They can't be two people calling shots, right? You have a president and a vice president. Doesn't mean the president's better, but that's why you have a VP for. So hey, how's that for some reality check? That's really something.
Yo, that is an excellent point. And that's why when I noticed from my little touch and dabbing on the internet, I realized that BBL plus desire, which is what you get, right? If you put that together, the woman gets power. So the ultimate goal is not to be most desired in terms of attraction. So hey, look at me, I can bear you children. It's look at me, and I could rule over you. I can
Mm,
control you with what I got on my person, and I can persuade you and manipulate you. And guess what? It leads to our last point of the night: is what is the role of men? I fall victim to this of like first dating my first dating my fiance, being all connected to these like social media tabs of like Instagram models and all that stuff, and then talking to my homeboys, be sharing pictures of shorties on the internet, and my shorty, my fiance was not really happy with that.
mm-hmm.
She didn't like that because she felt like pressing the like button
Yeah,
on these specific females and how they looked and how they carried themselves. What I was telling her without saying the words to her, that's the standard.
yeah,
And that was shattering her and that was hurting her because she literally was like, boom. She's like, oh, so you're saying, so how does this affect our relationships? How does this affect our marriages? If we're pressing like and our ladies don't look like how those Instagram models look, what are we telling them? What are we conveying to them?
and this is where social media plays a role. You have social media coming into this role, and I think again, feminism is a lot about empowerment, and there's so many things that I will never disagree with because I'm all about equality. But I always like to have honest conversations about what certainty. There's always an exchange, right? You can't just say, "Hey, have all of this," and there'll be no consequences.
What kind of equality you want? You want equal in value or equal in like person?
I want, well, equality is a tricky word when we talk about relationships. You know, like I don't think in I think in a way when it comes to value, men and women are equal, right?
Fact.
But
Everyone
when it
agrees.
yeah, right. But when it comes to responsibility in this world and roles we play in a relationship, I would argue we're not equal.
I would argue based on our what we contribute to society, no one is equal. Even me and you, we're
Exactly.
not equal because we have different job functions, different expectations of us, different abilities. So let's say, for example, Tom Sowell brought up a really good example. He said the man is not equal to himself 20 years from now. So you have an athlete, and the perfect example is an athlete. You have an athlete just entering the league, and he's killing it, right? He's a phenom. All of a sudden, on year 20 or year 15, he's not as good as he was when he came in year one.
Yeah.
Or it could be different. Like Michael Jordan evolved later in his career. So what Tom Sowell is saying, the man is not even equal to himself, let alone we're not equal to each other in output, in the outcome. We could be equal in value, but we're not equal in outcome. No one is equal in outcome. And pursuing equality in output is stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a beautiful. I was thinking of a term. I think that's a beautiful point you're making. No one is fighting for equality of outcome, and if you are, that equality is not only unrealistic but not beneficial for the world. Which means, some people would say, outcome is like that means we put in the work, we get the same outcome, or we do. It's just the world doesn't work like that, right? There's so many factors to it. So leading up to my point, I wanted to talk as we're ending this on bringing it. I loved how you brought up feminism for today because I just feel like it just made the conversation a lot more like connected to not only the surgery, but what that expectation and where it possibly came from, possibly at least, right? We're exploring it. But my opinion is when I talk about equality and I'm relating it to relationships, the reason it's dangerous to use the word equality because there's an automatic competition. The reason there's an automatic competition because men and women are very, very, very different. So when you throw in the word equality, it's tricky because it's not about equality because you're making one person feel lesser than the other when people think about equality. I'm just thinking about, look, let's just face it. Men and women are different. And if you have a feminism in your mind that is fighting to be like men, then you are going to be very miserable. That's just straight up. You're going to be miserable.
I got something to say. And I want anybody who's watching this on replay, call me out. Are women meant to enter the competition realm? Like when I mean men, were they created or were they put on this earth to compete like men do? Men compete.
Yeah. Women weren't made to compete at the level that men compete. Oh, I'm sorry to say that.
I can't believe you said that, bro. What's wrong with you?
We weren't. Like a woman gives birth, the natural instinct of a man is more of, and this is old school to some people, natural instinct of a man is to protect, want to do this. People look at that as
grab the strap because you ain't coming in my
instinct. A woman's natural instinct, if a place is getting robbed or something's happening, most women's natural instinct is not to fight. It's more to flight. You see that fight or flight? Natural men's instinct is a little more fight. That's just the reality. I know people don't like to talk about it, but it's just a reality. Men and women are different. Giving birth is superior. Somebody said that might be. It's just different though. Giving birth is superior. It might be superior. I'm just saying it's different, right? Right? You didn't have to, like, everyone knows that if you got, like, everyone, when it comes to, right, we live in a different society now where men don't really have to go to war like they did before because of the technological advances. But you don't want your woman in society going to war.
But what I'm saying is, are women meant to compete with anything in general? Are women meant to compete with other women? Are women meant to compete with other men? They were ever intended to compete at all?
It depends what kind of competition, I would argue, right?
I would say no. She was not meant to compete.
She was not meant to compete at all.
At all. It was our fault. We failed as men.
How?
As a society,
we can't end it like this. How?
Men fail at this every single day. Again, by liking what we like, by parading a certain image of a woman, or by pursuing or chasing a certain kind of woman, superficially at least, is already ingraining. Because remember, we're culture setters. I feel men are culture setters. We dictate the culture based on what we do. And it's such a ripple effect. So by doing what we do, by ascribing to what we ascribe to, we are literally telling the woman, you have to be like this in order to gain my attention. You have to be like this in order to gain my approval. Like before, in the early days, I'm sure, like if you look back in history, the attributes of a woman was not just her physique, it was her character.
Hmm.
So women would literally be presenting themselves a certain way, and if they weren't caught, they weren't caught. You weren't the one for them. They would wait for another man to catch them. But the superficial has allowed the woman to enter the competition realm, and now comes with a lot of anxiety, comes with a lot of depression,
Hmm.
comes with a lot of what is that other word? Insecurity, comes with a lot of desiring of power. Because look at the way I look. I'm a goddess. Look at that. Look at that music video, Rumors. And you see Lizzo, you see Cardi B, how they're presenting themselves as Greek goddesses. And I'm not. I'm obviously there's a reason. There's an art behind that, and I get that. Like shout out to them. I give it up to y'all. But what I'm saying is, it's our fault that they're acting that way. That's what I think the role of men is. It's our fault in general, and specifically when I was young, I was turned on to how important a woman look is because my stepfather put me on the porn very early. I was 11 years old when he put on porn on the TV.
So you had
11 years old, dude. What do I know about how a woman looks? But
so
until I, yeah, go ahead.
going back to the point you just made, you think it's men's fault for the competitive nature of a woman? I'm just trying to keep this simple. People,
Yes.
I don't agree with that
Why?
because I think it's a man's fault in his sphere, what he can control. Because it's your fault when it comes to your family, which is why your biggest responsibility is what you can directly control, right? It's like it's the phrase of you want to change the world, start with your home, right? So there's many things in countries that happen where men are living, you can call it an upright life, or a godly life, however you want to put it. But I think societal changes is way beyond this at times, right? Like we can't be blamed for the feminist movement, but we could be blamed and take responsibility. I do take responsibility for how I might have empowered some of those behaviors, or how in my direct circle, right? But as far as overall, I don't know, because there's it's like laws being passed, rights being pushed, um, people praising from hip hop culture and all that. So it's like it's a whole machine working to convince women that this is the way to do it. And there's men who are staying afloat, or not even staying afloat, striving. Why are they striving? Because they created their own community through their church, possibly through their friends, and they're creating a community that blocks that out and lives by certain standards. But when it comes as a whole, I don't think men really have control over that. It's those bureaucrats and these movements that come about that. I don't think we really control much of it. We try to have an impact,
Well,
but women
I
get
see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
their decision as well.
I'm talking about how we got here. We got here because we told a woman subconsciously that you have to look a certain way. When it became from character to superficial body parts, we put the woman in the competition
Oh,
realm.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Right
When
here,
it was
you just
about
told me to
when it
admit
was
it. It's
about
men's
Louis,
fault.
when it was about character, the woman didn't have to worry about competing because character is sought after. You seek character. You witness character. You know what I'm saying? Whereas where we put when we make it about their body parts, not everybody can get body parts. Everyone could achieve a certain character,
Yeah.
but not everyone could achieve the body parts. Now we have augmentation, surgery,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But you were born this way. This is how you were born. How is it that we're taking that and making that the standard for everyone? You know what I'm saying? So it's like now women are pursuing authenticity. Men are pursuing authenticity right now while making a society that's not authentic. How does that make sense, bro?
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a great point. I agree with you, man. I cannot agree. I cannot disagree with that term because there's a sense of responsibility and how we push that. You get what I'm saying? I'm just saying there's so many seeds that were planted that caused what I believe is the destruction of family and the destruction of like communities that have to do with feminism. But I don't think it's only feminism. But a lot of that had to do with that because again, you You can't have it both ways, right? You want all these kind of rights and equality. Now it comes at a cost. What you really crave in a relationship and stability, you're losing it because you're out there giving that energy to another part, which means when I say another part, another company, let's say, or another goal, or another, nothing wrong with these things. I'm just saying, let's be honest, it comes at a cost.
Everything
That's
has
all
a
I'm saying.
trade-off.
Everything
Yeah.
has a cost. So that's the cost we're paying as the feminist movement continues to grow and gain momentum, is automatically gonna affect relationships. So be mindful of that.
Right.
Men and women is really what I gotta say about it.
We might have to make a part 2 of this. I don't know. Maybe in the future we might have.
Maybe because I think we got a good avenue.
But tonight we're gonna wrap that up. I think we got good juices here flowing. We got good meat here on the table. So listen, y'all. The conversation does not stop. This live may end right now, but remember, drinks with a nobody. There are no last calls. So keep the conversation going. Until next time, y'all.
Until next time, man. Let's keep it moving. You already know.